Well, Kim Kardashian is not very happy with the psychics who apparently failed to predict that she would fail the bar exam. This is a wild, wild story, and we're joined by Jen Nizza, who's here to break down all the details. How you doing today, Jen?
Doing well, Billy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. You know, I'm having you on to talk about this because you obviously are an ex-psychic medium. This was a world you lived in for a very long time. And so when these events happen, when these things happen in pop culture and media, you often respond to them. And, you know, you have a lot to say about it generally. Now, when you saw this story, and just for those who have not seen it, Kim Kardashian is getting ready for her mother's 70th birthday party. She's on a phone, I assume talking to someone, and she's really upset because she's saying at least 4 psychics had predicted that she would pass the bar exam. And she said that they were, quote, obsessed with these psychics and they're basically frauds and pathological liars because they were wrong. She did not pass the bar exam. She's been trying to become an attorney for a few years now. What was your reaction to this, Jen?
Yeah, and I did make a video about it, by the way, Billy, explaining exactly what goes on because people need to know. So she sees them as a pathological liar because the prediction didn't come true. But they're also lying when they're pretending to be her deceased father. And that's what I don't think that she understands. So she's just looking at this result of a prediction, which is made by a demon, and demons do not know the future. So she's kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, in a sense, here, right? And she's failing still to see the truth of the matter. And she's going up in arms and contributing to the deception, Billy, that this also could just be a scam, or sometimes it's a scam, sometimes it's not. So I think this is a really dangerous thing to be putting out there, but it's a very sad and heartbreaking thing as well because she doesn't understand the truth about psychic readings.
You know, Jen, I think one of the things when people see videos like this, and especially even as Christians, when we're looking at stuff like this, we can know, okay, this is demonic. It's something I shouldn't entertain. But it's easy also to think like, this is just ridiculous. Like you're just playing with something that's nonsense or useless. But obviously you are, as you said, communicating with the demonic. So talk some about the theology of how, as we know, the demonic realm is designed to pervert and to misguide and to mislead us. So talk about the theology behind how just because you actually are entertaining something that is real, it is spiritual oppression, it is spiritual darkness, they are still wrong. I think sometimes people would say, well, if it really was real, then all of these predictions would always be correct.
And yeah, and that's just not true. It is real. And the predictions will not always be correct. As it happens sometimes, yes, just from the planting of seeds and self-fulfilling counterfeit prophecy. But demons are not God. They don't have their counterfeits. They don't have the power of God to know the future. So what happens is these demons will lie and pretend to be, they're lying spirits, and they'll pretend to be Robert Kardashian to hook Kim in these readings, okay? And generally speaking too, this is what's happening in a reading, this demon will masquerade as a deceased loved one or a good spirit, like a spirit guide, give you information that is accurate because it's based on observation of patterns, observation of your family line, ancestry, who died when, grandma's name was this. They know these things, guys.
Because they've watched them. They've watched them, right, over the years.
Yeah, they've watched them. So they'll talk about these things. They'll bring these points up to hook you into the reading, and then they deliver the prediction, which again is really a good guess. That's what a prediction is. And you and I can make predictions, and I talk about this all the time, with a high rate of accuracy, but we're not God. So we're not going to know the future. Only God knows the future. But it is real.
When you were a psychic medium, how often were you wrong versus right about what was going to happen?
That's a really good question, Billy, and a tug on my memory, which isn't good to start. But I would say this. Well, I wasn't even trying to joke around there. I will say this. When I look back on it, my business was word of mouth. So my accuracy rate was very high. But it wasn't 100. And it couldn't be 100 because I was hearing from demons and not God. So, and that's a whole other conversation to have, the difference between prophets and psychics. But I was not hearing from the Lord. So there has to be something that goes wrong because it's demonic.
Hmm. Over time, what is I mean, I know that it's wrong, and you're entertaining something that, as we've said now several times, is very real and very spiritually dark. So this probably sounds like such a silly question, Jen, but as somebody who's spent so many years in that career doing that, what is the damage over time that this does to somebody like Kim Kardashian, who's repeatedly going back to these psychics, entertaining psychic mediums, all of that? What is the toll that it's taking on a person spiritually?
Yeah, well, number one, it's keeping you away from the only way, truth, and life, and his name is Jesus Christ. So it's keeping you out of walking in the true light. You're walking in the false light. You're trying to hold to the standards of the world, which is run by the devil, which is subjective, and you start overlapping sin after sin after sin, more new age practices, and we can certainly see that in the Kardashians between pride, lust, seeing shamans, seeing mediums, and you're always looking for something. It's like you're trying to grab a cloud. You're trying to find something. You're going to the next thing, and it's something that you just can't attain through those means. And that ends up with spiritual oppression, if not possession, honestly, and will bring destruction relationally, health-wise, mentally, physically, emotionally. The spiritual danger, of course, is that you are not only being oppressed, but if you don't come to the Lord Jesus Christ, repent and believe in him, then you are headed to hell. And rightfully so. We all were headed to hell until we came to the only mediator between man and God, Jesus. And it's really very heartbreaking, honestly. We need to pray for her.
Yeah, I think, prayer obviously for her is important. One of the other elements of this that, you talked about planting seeds. If you tell somebody, if four psychics are telling somebody, you're going to pass the bar exam, practically speaking, and I'm wondering what you saw when you were doing this work, you're planting seeds that might actually change somebody's behavior. I'm not saying this happened to her, but do you prepare less? Are you studying less? Are you less worried? Are you less because you're being told something that you're now believing? I would love for you to reflect on that, because that's something. It's one thing to give people information that points them in a direction, but in this case, could you be giving information that points somebody away from doing what they actually should have done to be more prepared?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I mean, I probably would have changed the way that I did things if somebody gave me this certainty, because remember, she had already placed her complete faith and trust in these mediums, in these psychics. So what they say is gold. What they say is going to be what happens. So yeah, why study as much? Why do all of those things? But you know what concerns me the most, Billy and Trey, honestly, is the setup for the failure. Because now because you have to remember, demons don't like you. They don't love you. They don't want to help you. They don't care about you. So then, because she put all her hope in this, the letdown is so big.
Yeah.
And then she keeps going down the wrong road to get to where she wants to be, and doesn't understand the solution still is Jesus and praying, and that her hope shouldn't be in passing this bar exam to start, or I should say her identity shouldn't be wrapped up in that. There are going to be disappointments in life, things that we do. It depends on what God's will is for our life, and that's the plan we should seek to fulfill. But she doesn't know that. So she's even just going after something, nothing wrong with that, but something that she's come up with. What if she just can't be a lawyer? That's something that would concern me.
Jen, I think one of the things that is so sad about this, and a question that often pops up in my mind, is somebody like Kim Kardashian, she claims to believe in God. And I'd like to know, back when you were a medium and you were seeing clients all the time, what percentage of them were people who would say, maybe like Kim, I believe in God, and what percentage were people who didn't believe in God at all? Because it's like two sides of that coin. One is people who believe in God, but they're still doing these things, even though they're of course wrong. And then people who don't believe in God at all, but they're willing to think that this is real. It's like, how come this can be real, but God is not real? It's just an odd dichotomy.
Well, yeah. I had a lot of people that said that they believed in God, and I think it's because they're not believing in the true God, the God of the Bible. They're believing in the New Age God that is subjective. And the New Age caters to these people with terms like the other side. So sometimes I would use the word heaven, and some may universally be okay with heaven. I didn't get many Buddhists or things like that where they were all about reincarnation, even though we spoke about reincarnation. But the other side was just this place that was kind of like heaven. And so there was something that catered to everybody in the New Age, again, because these demons know how to personally attack. So play on and play off of what you think already, what your life is like, etc.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that we can unpack here. Now, I want to point people, just as we close here, Jen, to your podcast, Ex Psychic Saved. They can also go to your website, and there's also a wonderful production that is coming. It's a short film about your story. People can contribute to that at ifoundchrist.com. I appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you, Billy. Thanks for having me. Thank you, Trey.